Have you ever played the Chinese finger trap game? It's a small bamboo tube that you place your index fingers inside like this. The challenge? Remove your fingers. Sounds simple, right? The catch is the more you pull, the tighter the trap becomes. Now, much like this game, John found himself caught up in a self-made trap, spending all his time trying to make others happy. Ironically, the harder he tried, the more unhappy and disappointed he became. This played out at work, where he basically was in a job that he just didn't like. He was doing it because he was told that he should be doing this job. He was really struggling with motivation. So what was going on for John? Watch to the end of this video to find out. And if you're a people pleaser, I'll help you with my top 5 tips on how to feel less anxious about wanting to please others. And if you're new to this channel, I'd love you to subscribe. Simply click on the subscribe button at the bottom right hand corner to learn more tips about how to master your anxiety. Okay, as you may have seen in my video on the tribal mind, we all have this innate need to fit in with our social groups. It starts off with childhood when we rely on our caregivers for survival. As we grow up, this extends to our school friends, our peer groups, and our work environments. When we feel we do not fit in, our internal detection system kicks in, triggering anxiety. It's our brain's warning system that something's not right, yeah? We need to do something. When we lived in tribes, not getting along with your peers or in your community could spell very bad news for you. Indeed, in those days, there was no way you could survive on your own. There was plenty of predators out there like lions and tigers and bears and wolves, along with other tribes out there that are more than happy to take you out if you were cast out into the cold. So, the need to fit in is hardwired in our brains. And if you grew up in an environment where disappointment and disagreement led to anger or disapproval, you might have developed this people pleasing coping mechanism, a survival strategy to avoid conflict and negative reactions from other people. It's a way of keeping those around you on side and keeping you inside the group. So, what is people pleasing? People pleasing is a behavior pattern where we prioritize the needs of others over ourselves, often at the cost of our own needs. It can make us particularly sensitive to criticism and disapproval, leading to unhelpful behaviors. We may end up doing anything to avoid criticism and disapproval. So, here are some questions to ask yourself to see if you're a people pleaser. Do you say yes when you should be saying no? Do you often find yourself in situations where you just don't want to be there? Do you avoid difficult conversations, confrontation, or conflict? Do you feel responsible for how other people feel? And do you treat everybody's opinions as equally important? If you answered yes to several of these or all of these, you may be a people pleaser. So, as I mentioned earlier, fitting in is good, right? Well, it's partially right. If we sacrifice ourselves completely to meet the needs of others, this can lead to discontent and dissatisfaction because it stifles us from becoming who we truly are. Okay, so why is it important to become your own person, who you truly are? Growing up and becoming your own person means establishing clear boundaries. People pleasers often have what I call leaky boundaries or weak boundaries. It makes them hard to distinguish between their own needs and wants and those of others. Without strong boundaries, we become trapped in childlike behaviors, unable to take full control of our own decisions and our own lives. It's like many people are trapped in a conflict between who they are and who they think they should be. The word should is a massive red flag for me, right? And when I'm working with clients, I'm really vigilant for the word should. If you're doing things because you should do them, then this is leading a life based on someone else's rules. And it's a common mistake or problem for people that lack motivation. They feel they're being lazy, but quite often the reality is they're motivated by the needs of others and not their own. Being motivated by things outside of yourself is known as extrinsic motivation. These are people who are motivated by the praise of others and the trappings that go with that. However, anyone that's motivated by their own needs and desires, which is known as intrinsic motivation, are people who have no problem leaping out of bed in the morning. They tend to be values led and driven by meaning and purpose. John was a great example of someone struggling because he wasn't intrinsically motivated. He was really toiling to pass an important set of professional exams that he needed to pass to progress his career. He knew he should revise, he knew he should study, but he was finding it hard to get the motivation. Like there was an internal battle raging within John, but when he tried to sit down and study, he kept sabotaging himself. He kept finding everything and anything as an excuse to stop studying. Now, when I asked John a number of questions about why he wanted to pass the exams, the answers all came back as extrinsic reasons. This is what my parents always wanted for me. My boss told me I need to do this. Turns out that he wasn't even in a career he wanted to do. For John, studying exams was like pushing water uphill because he was being motivated by what others were telling him he wanted. At no stage did I hear the words from John, I need to pass these exams because I want to or I enjoy it. And that's the problem with being a people pleaser. You try to do everything in your power to please those around you, but it leaves you with a feeling of dissatisfaction. It's like planing a piece of wood against the grain. It's jarring and it just leaves a mess. So, what can you do if you're a people pleaser and start leading your life planing with the grain rather than against it? Well, here are my top 5 tips for people pleasers. Number 1, understand whose opinions truly matter to you. Not everyone's opinion should carry equal weight. Next time criticism stings, ask yourself, does this person's opinion really matter to me? Okay. Number 2, opinions are not facts. Just because someone criticizes you doesn't mean they're right. Ask yourself, is this just their opinion? Or is there actually some truth in it? A trusted advisor or a really good friend can help you differentiate. Number 3, it might not be you. Many people who are critical of others are highly critical of themselves. They may be projecting their own insecurities onto you. We often assume we are always the problem. But is that true? Maybe the person being critical of you is the one with the problem. Okay, number 4, people think about you far less than you think. While you might dwell on a moment of criticism for hours and days, the person who made the remark is likely to have moved on. It's a sad fact that many people don't realize is that people think about you far less than you think. Others have their own lives, their own problems to deal with. So if you're at the end of criticism or disapproval, maybe learning to let go of it is a good idea. And number 5, challenge your own internal rules. Do you assume that everybody shares the same values as you? That's known as egocentric thinking, and it's simply not true. Everybody has their own value set, their own rules for life. Okay, so when you catch yourself saying the words I should or I must, ask, is this based on my own values or someone else's? Instead, shift to I want to, prioritizing what truly matters to you. I'm going to make another video on values because I think it's so important. It's a game changer in terms of aligning your life in the direction that it should go. So what's the secret to escaping the Chinese finger trap? Well, the trick is a bit counterintuitive, actually. What you need to do is actually, instead of pull, you need to relax and push inwards. And rather than pulling outwards. And the same applies to people pleasing. Instead of seeking validation from others, turn inwards and lead your life according to your values and not others. And that's what John learned to do. He realized he was trying to keep everybody around him happy, but at the same time making himself frustrated and miserable. Realigning with his own values rather than others made all the difference. So, if this video helped you, let me know in the comments. Leave a comment, and if you know someone that's falling into the trap of people pleasing, maybe share this video with them.